Walker Zimmerman, great to have you with us here on Futbol Americas. Let's start with the most important question, man. How you feeling at this midway point of the season?
Feeling good. Unfortunately for us, we've had a tough skid here the last 3 or 4 games. We were really focused on trying to get into this Leagues Cup break in a good spot. Not as high as we'd like to be in the table, but when you look at it, in a good position through 24 games, and now a little bit of a break from MLS and 10 games left. So got a lot to keep working on.
Let's talk about your year a little bit because you come off the World Cup, which I think was a great success for you, really the end of qualifying, the whole campaign. And then you got to step right back into an MLS preseason. Can you walk us through kind of what that was like?
It was difficult, no doubt about it. Mentally, physically, emotionally, it's been a lot the last couple of years for sure for a lot of the guys that were involved in that World Cup run, both domestic and abroad. So yeah, I think for me mentally, it was saying, even though I made a World Cup, that's not the ultimate goal. Like, I'm chasing another one. I'm chasing 2026. I want to perform for Nashville. They've put a lot of belief into me and my role as the team, and uh, it's my responsibility now to perform. And so I can't take a break. I can't relax, take my foot off the gas pedal. And so I'm focused on taking it one game at a time and doing my best to help Nashville have a good run.
You were on the field at the end of that Nations League semifinal against Mexico. What was that like?
Good atmosphere as always. You know that both fan groups are going to bring it whenever we play each other, and especially when there's an opportunity to get into a final on the line. So it was hostile environment. Obviously, there were the red cards that were thrown around there, and it's just another game that adds to the lore of this rivalry.
It was a 3-0 final score. That was different. What did that feel like in the locker room afterwards?
Honestly, we didn't talk too much about it. I think in the past we've always built up this rivalry and been like, oh, it's Mexico, Mexico U.S. What a big game. This time it was they're in the way of our goal, which is to win the Nations League, and it wasn't necessarily Mexico versus U.S. It was this is a semifinal, this is a knockout game. Regardless of our opponent, they're in our path, and that's the kind of approach that we took it this summer.
Why do you think the rivalry has kind of taken that change?
I think we have higher expectations of ourselves. We know historically, like they've had an advantage. They've been very competitive, but we look at the past couple of years, the past couple of opportunities with trophies on the line, and we've had the better of them. And so, I think the expectation for us is not just to try and compete, but to make them compete with us. And there's always going to be back and forth moments in all those games. It's going to be intense, but at the end of the day, we think our quality is improving, and that we have the chance to put our stamp on this rivalry.
I think it was like 5 minutes into that game, maybe even before kickoff, when the news that Greg Berhalter was coming back broke. That's a guy who put a lot of faith in you. What was your reaction to seeing him re-sign?
That was great. I think he's done a lot with our team, a lot with our program. And you look at our last 4 years and the growth that we've had, the implementation of getting new players into the program. And obviously we wanted to go further in the World Cup, but, we're all hungry. And I think Greg leads us with that hunger and his desire to win, his desire to compete. And so ultimately we're all ready. We're on board. We're ready to try and get the job done in 2026.
Let's talk about Sunday night, man, because it was a huge moment in Major League Soccer history, but beyond that, probably American soccer history. We saw Lionel Messi unveiled. When that player comes to your league, how does it feel?
It's amazing. This is the shot heard around the world, man. This is Messi. It's a different kind of brand. It's nothing that we've seen before. I know we can kind of try and compare him to Beckham and what Beckham's influence was on MLS, which was massive. This is going to transcend that, and it's going to be a player who just won a World Cup, the greatest of all time, playing in your domestic league, and it's going to be special. You're going to see crazy fandom around the league. It's going to help boost the attention that soccer gets in the United States, and that's huge before Copa America 2024 and World Cup in 2026.
You've been around this league a while, so you probably more so than most are pretty familiar with the economics of Major League Soccer. Obviously, the salary cap has played a huge role in the growth of the league. Now we see as Inter Miami starts to try to piece this super team together, it's kind of getting in the way. As a player, do you see Lionel Messi joining the league and say, okay, hopefully we're going to a place where there either won't be a cap or there won't be one that's so restrictive?
I think we're definitely moving in that direction, and I think that the rules that have been in place in the past, level of growth in the league as we've continued to grow. But I do think that, especially with this signing, with the quality of players that we're now starting to attract in the MLS, you're going to have to start seeing some less restrictive things happen with the salary cap and with the payroll and with the overall structure of the team roster. So I'm excited. I think players are, seeing that development of the league year over year, because it's been completely different, my 11th season than it was in my rookie season.
Yeah. All right, one last question for you. I got to talk about the playing surface. Man, everybody talks about turf. You're a guy who's been around the league forever. You're a veteran player, so you know what that stuff does to your body. A lot of people are pointing at Lionel Messi and saying, man, there's no way that this guy's going to play on turf. Is that something that Major League Soccer needs to address moving forward?
Honestly, I'm really curious to see how it shakes out, because you look at some of the stadiums with the newest turf in the world that's supposed to be amazing. Obviously, most of it in football stadiums. So, I mean, I think every soccer player will tell you they prefer to play on grass, but I'm very curious to see what's going to happen as we attract bigger names and bigger talents, where the quality of the field is one of the most important things that affects the quality of the game, of the product. So ultimately, I hope we do end up one day having all grass fields, but I think that's a few years away, I would imagine.